NFL 100 wide receivers.
Let's get mad about
before
some
we get
lists.
hot seat cool thrown. I actually, looking at it, so let me read it off.
Wasn't this how the whole thing started?
Yeah, this was how the whole thing started. So again, NFL 100, they did the teams, and like most of the I think all the positions they've done this, where they basically separate it, old guys, modern era. So I don't think it's fair to take away from the old guys because they're just throwing them in there, whatever.
Unless they're multiple Earls.
Yeah, so it's the old guys are Elroy Hirsch, Lance Allworth, Paul Warfield, Don Hudson, Raymond Berry. Now the new guys, those are all players that played pre-1980.
We'll call that the grit era.
The new guys are Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Larry Fitzgerald, Steve Largent, Marvin Harrison. So this all started because I was like, how is Larry Fitzgerald on there and not T.O. and Calvin? Jerry Rice and Randy Moss, you agree, are just on there, right?
Absolutely. They're one and two.
That's not even a debate. That's not up for debate. I would say probably Steve Largent too, just because he's also like he played a little bit earlier where they didn't throw the ball as much. So he probably stays in there.
We've already got like 4 people on the list that are on the list because they played an era where they didn't throw the ball as much.
I know, but we can't. I mean, you can't take away the pre-1980s guys.
Steve Largent was a system receiver. He only worked with Jim Zorn.
Okay, so Steve Largent, I don't know what to do with Steve Largent. I actually am not as mad about Larry Fitzgerald as I was when we first brought this up.
Really? I'm disappointed that you're not as mad because I came prepared with some stats.
Yeah, no, I'm not as mad.
I was thinking you were going to be mad.
No, I'm not. I'm not as mad. I'm actually more mad about Marvin Harrison being on there.
Okay, agreed.
Yeah.
I agree with that because Marvin Harrison, he was essentially a very good route runner, good hands, overall very good receiver. But he also played with Peyton Manning, who threw the fuck out of the ball every single game.
So here's how I broke down my list. I would do.
He also killed somebody.
He also killed someone. This might be where you can find contention in it. I actually am keeping Larry Fitzgerald on my list. I am now taking off Marvin Harrison, and as much as T.O., I'm actually doing the real journalist thing where I'm saying T.O., what he took away from the team,
he was too mean to the media.
Still counts.
Big Cat saying that.
No, I mean he called like all his quarterbacks gay, but yeah, that also probably had something to do with it. I think Calvin Johnson,
Jeff Garcia and Donovan.
Yeah, even though Calvin Johnson played less than all those guys, I think he is the better of a wide receiver than T.O. and Larry Fitzgerald and Marvin Harrison and Chris Carter. So I'm putting Calvin on my list instead of Marvin Harrison, keeping Larry Fitzgerald on. Calvin, if you look at it, has a higher yards per reception than everyone else that I just listed. He also has the greatest receiving season in 122 receptions, 1964 yards. And
he was playing on the Lions.
That's
expert mode. That's all Madden level.
He was playing on the Lions, and he had Matthew Stafford, but he had a young Matthew Stafford. He also had to have John Kitna, Dan Orlovsky, Dante Culpepper, Sean Hill was there for a season. I think Calvin Johnson, and I know that he didn't play very long and cut it short, but I think he is a better receiver at his peak than T.O. and Marvin Harrison.
Okay, I agree with that. I think that he's number 3. I think it's Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, and then Calvin Johnson.
Correct.
Then I'm going to go with T.O. I'm not going to let.
So you're taking Larry off?
I'm not. No, I'm not going to let the way that he treated the media cloud my judgment like you are, Big Cat. I think that I'm only judging this on the field. When T.O. was on the field, he was unstoppable.
No, I'm not. I'm not talking about the media. I'm talking about like he basically. No, I'm not.
You're believing the lies that the media told you.
No, I'm not talking about the media. I'm talking about like what he did to his teammates.
I'm going to choose to leave.
I have
T.O.
no problem with what
list.
he does to.
Can I just pretend that you said some bad shit about Larry Fitzgerald?
Should it just be about how his play on the field, though?
Exactly, strictly on the field, like Peter King.
Nah. I mean, he's an unbelievable receiver. He's right off the list.
It's NFL top 100 players, not
if I could
top
take
100
Steve Largent,
teammates.
if I could take Steve Largent off, I'd take Steve Largent off. I basically went for the top 4 wide receivers in the modern era, and I'm going with Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald.
Just telling
and
that
T.O.'s number
you're putting
5.
up this much of a stink about T.O. and you didn't really say that much about O.J. So
What's your list?
Okay, well, let me just pretend that you said no Larry Fitzgerald.
Okay,
because you've been teasing it.
But I looked at it
for weeks.
No. Hold on.
I just have some fun stats. When we first did it, about Larry Fitzgerald.
I said I have to look at it more.
Fun stat number 1: he has more tackles than drop passes in his entire career. That's fucking wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stat number 2. Here's his playoff statistics. 2008. Here's the game breakdown. 101 yards, 1 touchdown. 166 yards, a touchdown. 152 yards, 3 touchdowns. 7 receptions for 127 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Then after that, I'm going to jump to the end and just say he averages about 94 yards per game in the playoffs and over a touchdown in every postseason game that he's ever played in. And here's a fun list of the quarterbacks he's caught touchdown passes from. Obviously, there's Kurt Warner. There's Carson Palmer.
Average 104 yards in playoffs.
After that, Josh McCown, John Skelton, Josh Rosen.
No, I agree.
Kevin Cobb, Matt Leinart, Kyler Murray, Derek Anderson, Drew Stanton, Blaine Gabbert, Max Hall. Who's Max Hall? He's a creative player. Richard Bartell, Sean King, Brian St. Pierre, and that's it. That's a list of quarterbacks that have thrown touchdown passes to Larry Fitz. He's absolutely on this list. He deserves to be on this list.
So wait, who did you take off?
I will stand Larry Fitzgerald.
Wait. So who'd you take off?
I'm dropping Raymond Berry off the list.
No. You can't do this because we did this last time. You can't take any of the old guys off.
Steve
Largent.
Have to.
No. You have to keep Steve Largent on too. So give us your top 4.
He stopped playing in 1989.
Yeah, but this is this is like we're trying to make it hard
Rice.
Here. We're trying to make it hard for ourselves.
But he overlapped with Jerry Rice.
Give me, all right, so
1989 isn't that old.
Yeah,
give me your 4. Give me your 4. Give me your top 4 and make it hard on yourself. Like I made it hard on myself. I didn't take Steve Largent out. I didn't take any of the old guys out.
Steve Largent's
not an old guy.
I'm saying do it. Just give me your 4. Make it hard on yourself.
I'm very confused what you're asking.
I'm saying give me your top 4.
Okay, my top 4 are Jerry Rice. Randy Moss number 1, Jerry Rice number 2, Calvin Johnson number 3, and then number 4, Larry Fitz.
Okay, so we have the exact same rankings. So you don't respect T.O. the same way.
No, I
kept Steve Largent on to make it difficult.
He's 4A.
Of course, T.O. is better than Steve Largent,
he's
but
4A.
I'm making it difficult on myself. So
He's
we
4A.
agree 100%.
4A. I'm still you've been teasing me to get pre-mad about Larry Fitzgerald,
but I looked at it.
Then you pulled the okie doke on me.
No, shout out to me for being able to look at it and be like, hey, you know what? When we talked about this originally, I was wrong.
It's a false build-up from you.
I can admit when I'm wrong.
False build-up from you.
You can't.
So can I.
Mountain Dew spit bottle.
No, I apologize to Hank. Remember
you
that,
actually
Hank?
did admit it on air. Hank put it
Oh,
in.
no, I know.
Yeah.
I'm aware.
So we have the exact same rankings.
We do now, but you've also said I'm disagreeing with former Big Cat.
But if we pull back the tape, I basically was like, I need
Sounds
to look
like you're
at
a
it.
flip-flopper.
No, I need to look at it, and I looked at it, and I agreed that Larry Fitzgerald should be 4.
Stick to your guns.
And T.O. should be 5.
Best bud on the list too, Larry Fitzgerald.
All right, so yeah, that's the list. We have the exact same list. I think Calvin Johnson should be on there. It's crazy.
I agree. It's nuts. I don't know who voted on this. It was Collinsworth, Belichick.
I don't know who else was on the poll. It just also sucks that they do the old 5 guys because it's like, of course I don't think any of these 5 guys, but like you have to keep them on. I don't know. It's stupid.
But you're talking shit about T.O., but you remain silent on Randy Moss.
T.O. is
when he got mad about the barbecue catering tray in the Vikings locker room at one time.
Exact same ranking that you have.
Yes.
Okay. So we have the exact same ranking.
Do you have any comment about Randy Moss getting mad at
Randy Moss is the best receiver in the history of the NFL.
Correct. We have the same number one.
Yeah, I don't care what he did.
What he did to a caterer when the barbecue wasn't
What did
great.
he do?
You don't remember that?
No.
It's the most hilarious, dumb, fake like news cycle that was it was in like 2013, 2014, towards the end of his career. They had some catered lunch in the Vikings locker room. And then afterwards, all these reports came out saying that Randy Moss insulted the brisket or the barbecue. And it was like a mom and pop that had been serving the team for the last 20 years.
No, Randy Moss had his issues too. Like he wasn't the best teammate, but he was also the greatest wide receiver of all time.
Also, Randy Moss is awesome on television.
Yes, he is. So I've never seen someone so mad to agree. You're mad.
I'm mad at former Big Cat.
Right, but
because you've been getting me. I've been in a cage this whole time, and you've been poking me. You're like, "Hey, I'm going to talk about Larry Fitzgerald in a couple weeks," and then you opened up the cage and you gave me birthday cake, And so now I'm like, yeah,
well,
I agree. Thank you for the birthday cake. It's awesome. You know I love the corner pieces. But I'm still I'm going to need a second to calm down from the last 2 weeks of stewing about Larry Fitzgerald.
Well, when we first talked about it, I didn't even know Marvin Harrison was on it. I'm pretty sure we just knew that Calvin Johnson and T.O. weren't on it, and I was like, how is this fucking possible? Now I understand, and yeah, I think Calvin Johnson should be on it ahead of Marvin Harrison, and then T.O. If you want to take Steve Largent, if we are allowed to take Steve Largent, it's a no-brainer. Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Larry Fitzgerald, T.O.
Okay, I took him off just because he did overlap with Jerry Rice.
I was just trying to make it hard on us, like, because it's easy to, like, that's such a no-brainer 5 for me, so I was like, let's make it as difficult as possible and have to make a decision between Calvin, Larry, and T.O.
You know what we should do? We should just acknowledge the old people on the list, and instead of doing, like, have these like arbitrary year cutoffs, just list our top 5, no matter what.
Yeah,
what our top 5 would be.
What are your top 5, Hank? Do you have a top 5?
Jules, Welker.
No, so my top. Yeah, so PFT and I have the same top
Amendola.
5: Randy Moss, Jerry Rice,
Troy Brown, Amendola.
I'd have to look
Jules,
too. I might even have
Bethel Johnson.
I might even have
Riche Caldwell.
I might even have Chris Carter over Marvin Harrison.
I don't know about that.
I'd have to look, but I might. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Maybe that's what we can get mad about. Those guys,
Chris Carter or Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison, nice career, but a really good career, fucking awesome career. But man, having Peyton Manning definitely makes it a lot easier.
I remember when Marvin Harrison, when he stepped away, and then right behind him they had Pierre Garçon.
Yeah.
And Pierre Garçon became a really good player. It was like, yeah, how much of this was Marvin and how much? Because like there were a few years back to back where they had Peyton was like throwing touchdowns to Dallas Clark, Ben Utecht, all these random guys, and so he was able to make a lot of players look great. I mean, his first year in Denver.
Yeah.
He made all those guys look amazing. Eric Decker was like a top 3 wide receiver in the league. So, yeah, there's definitely a Peyton Manning factor that you have to take into account here. So, I think, yeah, for him, it was kind of an easy choice for me to move him out of that top 4.
I'm looking at it right now, and Chris Carter and Marvin Harrison basically have the exact same stats. It's just that Chris Carter played like 45 more games than Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
So I guess I would give it to Marvin Harrison there.
Also, people don't talk about the fact that Marvin Harrison assaulted a Jets ball boy before a game.
And killed a guy.
Yeah, well, allegedly.
Allegedly
assaulted a Jets ball player.
And allegedly killed
and
a
then
guy.
killed a guy.
Yeah, that part really gets lost. Like, we're talking about T.O. doing some sit-ups in his driveway, but man.
Can you just bleep out Marvin Harrison's name? I don't want him to come after me.
Yeah, he is kind of scary.